What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over an interesting rumor, but for maybe different reasons than some people think. But we'll talk about a couple different aspects of it. But the rumor that Remedy Entertainment is rumored to be developing a AAA Doctor Strange game for current gen. An official announcement and teaser reportedly planned for this summer's E3 conference. This comes from Moth Culture. Now, a couple things I want to say first before we dive deep into the actual rumor itself. This source isn't actually a source. It's not, in my opinion, and this is all my opinion, by the way, it's not anything. There's a couple of these that have popped up on Twitter. I've noticed over the last year or so. There's one directly that does, I believe, Marvel stuff, and they literally just say things. They say confirmed or breaking, or they have a rumor, and it's just the Twitter post. There's the pictures. There's never an article link. There's never who said this. I guess you're supposed to assume it's somebody that works for them. A lot of it doesn't turn out to be true, and a lot of it just turns out to be them just saying things, and again saying confirmed, breaking, this, and there's no link or anything to who's actually saying it. I normally laugh when I see a lot of these things because there's no, and a lot of people say this even in the comments or in the threads of these Twitters. They say, well, what's the source? And the source is, there is no source. So that's the first thing I want to say. This game, this idea of a Doctor Strange game, I do think is quite possible, and I do think, honestly, is quite likely. Now, here's the deal, though. What's happened, right, is Remedy, I think because of Control, right, maybe even Alan Wake, but I think mainly because of Control, has always been kind of a fan casting, right? So sometimes you link up, oh, well, this actor would do a nice job as this role or whatever, right? But really what it is in this case, it's people saying, no, this studio makes a lot of sense. And people have done that, right? Naughty Dog, I think people have linked Punisher for like Neil Druckmann for obvious reasons there as well. But I think people really want, right? It's kind of the collective thought. People want, if there were to be a Doctor Strange game, make it from Remedy. So what I think this source, quote unquote, is doing is just playing into that. Also, I mean, the E3 thing, I guess, is possible, but also it's like, well, I don't, like, who are they going with? Like, they're not aligned with anybody. Tencent has like a minority stake in them, but that's it. And they're not doing an E3 as far as I can tell, right? So I don't really know Remedy would show up at Xbox's E3 and announce it, because like Sony's not doing it. There's no way, right? Some people I think are getting confused and thinking that this is like a PlayStation exclusive. I mean, well, firstly, the game's not real as of right now. So to say, well, I thought this game was going to be played. Well, I don't even know what that means, because how did you know it was a game in the first place, right? The idea of a Doctor Strange game actually happening, though, right, is the big thing, and that makes a ton of sense. I feel like we're in this age, and honestly, I maybe even controversially feel we're probably a little past it in terms of having just this wave and wave and wave of Marvel games coming out, considering we kind of hit the high with the MCU like several years ago, and now we're going through like an adjusting phase that not everybody is taking too kindly to, and whether you like it or not, I don't think it's nearly as popular as it was 2 to 4 years ago, right? So it's just, to me, a little odd in general, everybody kind of going head first into it now instead of 10 years ago. But that's just my opinion. But I do think a Doctor Strange game makes sense, and I do think Remedy makes sense. Now, another thing, though, is Remedy's big. Okay, they're a big studio. I believe the number that we can tell is 290 employees as of 2021. That's quite a group. That's a good number. It really is. But they're working on, right now, several games. They're working on a multiplayer game. Now, granted, that multiplayer game has like a group of like 10 to 20 people working on it. They're working on a Control sequel, whether it's a Control 2 or a game in the Control universe. They're making, obviously, Alan Wake 2, which is like the big one, right? And they're making one other game, okay? Could be a smaller game, but so they're making 4 games potentially at the same time. So again, while yes, it makes sense because of Control, and I think Doctor Strange would work really well with this team there, they're kind of busy. And I don't really know if giving them 5 games to work on, or then if you give them Doctor Strange 2, it's like, well, and here's, again, I'm not like opposed to it. If you give it to them and they say, well, we're going to do these other 4 games first, and then Doctor Strange, the game, comes out in 2026. But it's like, all right, well, I don't really know if I needed to hear that right now. I think you could have waited several years to tell me it. So either way, I wouldn't be the most happy, right? Because you either have to wait an eternity, which, again, is fine, I guess, or this is just an outright lie. Ultimately, though, I get it. I get wanting these games. I do think a Doctor Strange game would be absolutely awesome done right. I don't think, by the way, another controversial opinion, I don't think Insomniac is the only studio on planet Earth that's capable of doing a superhero game or a Marvel game. I do think, controversially, that you can give Marvel games to other studios. And yes, you maybe have a 50-50 shot. You could end up with an Avengers. You could end up with something else. But no, I mean, I think other studios could do it. So I don't think you have to give Doctor Strange, by the way, to Insomniac to make it work. I think anybody who thinks that, I think I kind of want Insomniac to do a lot of different things besides Marvel. I don't really need them to just be churning out Marvel games every 2 years. Again, that's just me, though. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, actually, they gave kind of a date that we'll know for sure if these guys are full of garbage or not, and that's E3. Sometime around E3, we'd hear about it. Even if we do, I'm not really willing to, to give this source, or whatever you want to call it, right? I'm not really willing to give it all that much credit, considering people have been claiming this for years now. People have been speculating that this could happen for years. I mean, people that just guessed it could ultimately end up being right just because they thought Remedy made a lot of sense for it, and then maybe somebody at Marvel thought the same thing, saw the same thing, and they approached, you don't know. So we'll see if it happens around E3. I do want this game, I just don't know. I would lean more towards, again, this moth culture. From everything I've seen of it and a couple other Twitter handles, they're just full of garbage, all of them. But that doesn't mean that this rumor has to not be true. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you're all subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you guys want to follow me anywhere else, including supporting us on Patreon or our YouTube memberships, the links for all of them are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.